everyone. This is something I have never done before, but I noticed that there is basically no parts guide for Ace Combat 7 multiplayer on YouTube, so I decided to make one to explain basically what are the best ways to set up your plane. There are a bunch of philosophies, but we'll get through it. So, I generally don't use EML. I think it's overpowered. I hate it. I only use it against something like cheaters or people who just really piss me off, which is not very common. So, the philosophy is always take maximum maneuverability. New flaps like level 3 and superior maneuverability level 2 are absolutely something you never give up. You always take those, no matter what. Another part that I would pretty much always take is bulletproof fuel tank. Like 90% of the time, I'm gonna take it. The philosophy is you just can take markets. Like it's very simple. There's only very few planes I actually don't use it on, but that's something I'm gonna get on later. So for this EML setup, I maxed out EML, gun, got the machine gun radar lock-on system, even though I actually don't feel like it does anything. Like it might even make me miss more, I don't know, it just doesn't feel like it does anything, but I can't really put anything else, so I just keep it. And stealth microwave radar. If you're not running special, normal missiles set, then pretty much that's the only part that actually does something for you. So that's basically what I would recommend for EML setups. Let's see. For general dogfighting 1v1 planes, Light Brisk is good for PSM dogfights. You just gain more acceleration. It's easier to chain PSMs. It's very simple. Like before, absolutely always take agility, and bulletproof fuel tank is just always good to have. So for 6AMs, though they actually need only 2 upgrades. They only need power and accuracy. You don't need the third part. You could completely get rid of it. You could invest in gun if you want. I like having more missiles, and I don't really use gun all that much, so I just got anti-stealth and more missiles, more 6AMs. So 6AMs and HCAAs only need 2 upgrades to really work well. QAMs, another thing I don't really use, but I always have a setup in case I want to use it. So nothing new here. For QAMs, in case of N22, you cannot really put a 4th part, so you are stuck with having coming load limit, because without load limit you only get 18, which is too little, way too little. Power, always take power, like no matter what. And the stealth, because that's the only misc that's really useful. So you would want to ideally put flight distance on QAMs. However, flight distance, it's not needed. It's sure it's nice to have, but you don't need flight distance. Here we go. I think you can put it on not F16, on F18, lower tier planes, but you don't need it to work. PLSL, similar to EML. You actually don't need any upgrades for EML or PLSL. You could just run PLSL and the EML without any upgrades to them. You could just upgrade standard missiles, and that's also another way to do it, because the thing is, PLSL and EML are gonna be useful no matter the upgrades, so you don't really need them. You can just upgrade standard missiles and overwhelm the enemy. In this case, I want to out-dogfight my enemy, so I upgraded only hitbox and firepower. I don't need range, and I upgraded the standard gun. So my last upgrade is machine gun radar lock-on system, like I said, I'm not sure that even does much for dogfighting it specifically. So, HCAA, like I said, it's literally the same as 6AM. You only need 2 upgrades to make it work, so last upgrade is whatever you want. In my case, I just got myself gun upgrade so that I can 1v1 better. It's not something that really matters last upgrade can be whatever you want. Oh, and here we go, something new. So, this is the only part where I actually give up bulletproof fuel tank for multi-purpose stealth coating if you're going LAMS or HVAA. This is not something I usually play. I don't think this is very skillful gameplay, just shooting from far away, but it is very effective in case you want to just dominate a lobby, so much so that you get kicked right away. Or you just kill the entire lobby and everybody leaves. Either way, I don't recommend doing it, but if you feel so, I do recommend getting stealth too. And high gen pressure is very good because you can just be faster than your opponents. Like, that's pretty simple logic. Flaps and superior maneuverability, always take them no matter what. And for the upgrades for missiles, always take power, like no matter what. You definitely need better homing. The only thing that you would like to have would be that you can't really have is extended load limit. Why you don't take this? Because you absolutely need a lock-on range for LAMs and HVAAs. Because the further away you are, the better tracking they have. So like it's just another homing capabilities. Basically, it's necessary upgrade. If you play it well, 28 missiles are gonna be more than enough to dominate a lobby, get 100k points. But yes, 28 is pretty low. Like I said, for LAMs, you can't really get more upgrades on the higher tier planes. HPAA. Oh, that one? I love HPAA. It's rewarding, it's nice to play. In case of F-15, in this case, it has great engines, it has great acceleration, but has problem with decelerating, so you just fix the problem of plane with air brakes. They just make you lose speed faster, but also you turn quite a bit better with high G turns, so it is really useful. Everything else here is the same as before, but for the missiles, since it can actually get all 4 upgrades you want, you get homing, you get power. Those are always, homing and power are like must-haves, no matter what you do, you need those two. And reload and more, like look, 22, 38, you won't absolutely have more missiles. So the last update, you don't need reload time. You absolutely don't need more reload time, but it is something nice to have. I think it's just the best upgrade. If not for reload time, maybe I would probably just go for more gun damage. That's basically what I would do. 6 AMs, like I said before, it's basically the same thing as with HCA before. You just need only homing and power, only those two. It has great range, it has everything. It only needs those 2 areas to be upgraded. In this case, I just upgraded my gun because actually I think in this case, I'm not sure, but yeah, I did go for anti-stealth. I just don't think that machine gun lock-on system does anything, honestly. At least not for me. You know, better stealth detection is good. So, for non-PSM planes like Rafale, you just want to spam those high G turns on low speed, so Light Brisk is a great part for it. In case of HCAs, you don't really need to have anything, but in this case, since you can fit all 4 parts, just get reload and load limit, go, just spam those missiles all fucking game. And less agile plane that you really need more agility with, air brakes plus light brisk. This is what you want. I would put probably variable, because F-15 likes being in like 1500 speeds, but you can't really fit it, not level 2 at least, so I just take light brisk too. Flaps, of course, superior maneuverability and fuel tank. And since this is PLSL loadout, I upgraded my gun and PLSLs. You could just go for more range instead of guns upgrade, but I just went for max close range DPS. But this is not something you need to do. My favorite, MiG-29. This is my favorite plane in the game to fly. It's good. It does what it's supposed to. It's not too overpowered. It's a challenge to actually use it effectively. But since it lacks the maneuverability and it doesn't have full PSM, so I focused on upgrading the PSM capabilities as much as I can. So max air acceleration and ECU software update. ECU software makes it so that you can go slower than usual without stalling, and that's very useful. Some people dislike it. I like it personally. I do think it's very useful, especially in a plane like MiG-29, where you absolutely need all that agility. And for HPA, you straight up need more missiles, like 22 is just not gonna cut it most of the time. So power, homing, and load limit. Load limit, like I said, you just need load limit. You cannot go without those. And we are going near the end. For MiG-21, this is my only standard missile set, other than the jammer one. I actually decided to min-max it. I went for full standard missile loadout. MGPs are good no matter what. You don't need to upgrade it. So I just went for max spammability standard missiles. And for the agility, it actually has such a great agility, you don't need all that much here. So I just fully invested in offense. Light brisk, you probably really want light brisk on this thing, but it's up to you if you want light brisk or more reload speed on your missiles. That's completely up to whoever's flying it. I just like to spam my opponents with MiG-21's missiles. And one of my favorites too, F-104. I like this plane. It has HPA. Everything that has HPA is nice. And for it, just like with F-15, you really need that extra agility. This thing doesn't PSM. You need to be fast and have good agility. This is why I got light brisk and cutting edge air brakes. Actually, you probably could get variable cycle engine. You probably want to do that, as this thing just needs to be fast and it needs to spam high G turns at the same time to actually dodge missiles. But this is not a recommended setup, it's just something if you want to challenge yourself to use, because F-104 is really underpowered. MiG-21 is much better. But I like it. I like using it. It has HPAA, which is plus for me. So that's for it. For recommended loadout, I always recommend take superior maneuverability and flaps. For any close range combat plane that's not beyond visual range spammer, take bulletproof fuel tank. And cutting edge air brakes, variable cycle engine, and light brisk are really nice if you need more agility, if you want to fix your plane's weaknesses. In this case, you need more acceleration to just spam those high G turns that are also boosted by air brakes. You could also go for a way to like instead of air brakes you could get smaller light brisk, but I really like the air brakes to just spam those high G turns that really make it turn well. I'm gonna save this. So what else do we have? Well, there's also bombs, but those are only for not a single player. So those are my recommendations. There are also some things I didn't touch in here, like TLS, but if you want to just TLS, it's the same as PLSL and DML. It's the same principle. You just gear them up and spam your enemy with them, I guess. And for UAVs don't have their own upgrades. I like running PLSL in case PLSL, standard PLSL here. If I'm using the Raven, even though it's not something I usually use, it is something that you can use. So I guess that's it for most relevant builds. I think I got pretty much everything that's relevant there. In case you think I missed something and you want me to cover it, you can comment. So, hope I helped. Thank you for watching and see you guys later.